Like I said, I'll go through what I think, what works for me, and if there's anything that I've missed or any other things that I've overlooked, if you just pull me right, Jax, if that's all right. Okay, so I think what we'll do first is I'll just run through the setup itself, so the army. So let's just shove them in. So we'll go from left to right. We'll keep it nice and simple. So straight away, we've got the RC for the RC warp, the Fox for the invisibility, haste vial, and the electro boots. I don't think I really need to go too much into depth about that. I think we're all pretty aware of what why we use the electro boots and why we use the rage vial. The haste vial for more damage in the area of the base that we want to get the damage, and also for the AoE on the electro boots and the passive healing. It's just too strong to miss up on when you're taking the risk diving into the base. What I will say in terms of alternatives, you can run the Phoenix on the RC. However, you don't get as much invisibility time because you miss out on the 4 or 5 seconds that the Fox gives you every time it procs. So yes, it's more safe. However, you have to invest more because if you want to get as much value out of your RC walk, you need to take more invis spells to get deeper because you're missing out on your Fox procs every 4 or 5 seconds. I can't remember what it is exactly, maybe 6. But again, that's personal preference. So if you feel like your RC is, you don't really utilize them too much after the charge, maybe Phoenix is the option for you. The reason we take the Foxes is because we're running a recall spell, and our aim is to get the RC in, get the value, and get her out ASAP, because we want to use her and utilize her in the back end for the army because she is crucial. In terms of the timing, Zai, I noticed on a couple of your attacks, friendly challenges yesterday, you was a bit off. Are you aware of the timings, or do you want me to go through them?
Yeah, the 56, 46, 36, yeah, we know about that.
Yeah, but you can as well. You don't always have to be so perfect with those timings. Jack's made a good point in the last call. If you feel like you're going into an area, so for example, you've just triggered a rage tower, and there's a lot of hard hitting defenses around there, and you're thinking, God, if I were a bit early on my last invis spell and it's 41 and she comes seeable again and gets nuked before the invis kicks in or the Fox dies, always be on the side of caution and always drop that extra invisibility spell just to keep the RC alive. No risks. It's not worth the risk.
Yeah, it's called panic.
Yeah, exactly. So to be on the safe side, instead of going for the 46, Jax, you made a good point. Go for 47. Drop it a bit earlier, and then cover into the next invis from the Fox. So you're not getting as much value. You're not getting as much value, but at least you're covering more time. Obviously, when you pop your haste, you want your RC to be invisible from the Fox. The reason for that is your RC, as you know, can bolt off in a direction that you don't expect or anticipate. Especially if there's two defenses that are fairly close to each other, close proximity, and there's probably a millimeter in difference between. So my recommendation when you pop in the haste, wait to about 52, 42, 32, or maybe even 1. Because at that point, you're getting your heal. If you're a bit early on your last invis, you know you're going to take some damage. You get a heal. You get a bit of a heal from your haste when you pop it. So your warden, your RC is going to be a little bit more healthy to take more hits. And then 2 seconds into the haste, the Fox is then going to kick in. So you're then going to get your 4 seconds of Fox, where you don't have to worry about which direction she takes. She can go wherever she wants. And then you're getting as much value out of your haste, and you're also getting your insurance as well, that for at least 4 seconds, if she went the direction you wasn't expecting her to go in, you've got that 4 seconds then to react to the next move that she's going to make, which makes things a bit easier. Just a little tip. Don't have to utilize it. It's just something that I look for to try and make sure that I keep my RC alive.
Just need to practice it.
That's all it is. There's nothing here that no one can't do. It's just getting it down. And like I said, you always try and get the most value as possible. 56s and 50s, 46s, 40s. But if there's risk involved and you think, oh, I dropped that a bit early or I dropped that a bit too late, don't risk it. If it means dropping another invis spell, drop another invis spell. Again, you don't need to take 5 invis spells. Again, personal preference. If you feel like you're going to be on the side of caution and you don't quite trust yourself, then drop your Skelly spell or drop your freeze spell if you don't feel like you need it and take another invis, just to give you that bit of insurance that you have got another invisibility spell if you need it, if you're not quite using them optimally and you've not got to the position on the base that you want to create your funnel. So again, just play with it a little bit. There's no correct answer. Okay, Queen. So obviously RC sets the first part of your funnel, which we all know. Your Queen, she's on the other side. And for me, this is the most important part of this attack. Yes, the Warden's always going to be important. Yes, the Minion Prince is great for utility and slowing things down and reducing damage. But this is where this attack fails. So there's plenty of options that people run on the Queen. There's plenty of different reasons why people run them. What I would say is, from my personal usage, is Frosty is the best on the Queen. The reason for that is Frosty gives you that little bit more protection if you have to walk into something as scary as a ricochet cannon, or even a monolith. Because as soon as a Frosty Mite hits that defense, its damage outputs is significantly reduced. I'm not sure what it is, maybe 30%. It's slower attack speed. So Frosty is excellent for that. And as well as that, Frosty's got a lot of HP and tends to run in front of the Archer Queen. So again, just a bit of a meat shield if needed. Obviously, you don't want to lose Frosty, but your Frosty's not really there to do damage. He's there to keep your Queen alive as long as possible. You can run the Unicorn, perfectly viable, but I think in terms of the value from Frosty, I think Frosty needs to go there, in my opinion. In terms of the equipment, action figure, if you've not got it yet, you need to get it. It's ridiculous. It's silly. If it doesn't get nerfed in the next update, I'll be baffled. It's so good. It's how I tend to use it is as soon as I see the Queen taking damage, and quite a bit of damage, maybe half health, I'll then pop the action figure. So I'm always looking at the bottom of my screen to look at my Queen's health. If she's getting low and she's taking damage, pop it. You get your invisibility from your action figure. So whatever's targeting your Queen then is no longer targeting your Queen. It then targets your action figure that's got about 20, 30k health. And the amount of damage it does, it shreds through walls. It's AoE when it's in rage form. It hits walls and whatever's behind it. It's excellent. It's so good. The amount of times where I've had action figure alive at the end and it's finished off my attacks for me because the healers have gone onto it. It's so good. You need to prioritize that. That needs to be in this build. In terms of your secondary piece of equipment, Magic Mirror, I like. However, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I like the extra damage you get from it, but at the same time, the clones can go down fairly quickly, depending on when you pop the Magic Mirror. For this army, your purpose of the Queen is try and clear as much as possible. You want the Queen to clear as much as possible and get as deep as possible to make sure that your army that's coming in from the side is going to take the path that you want it to. So I'm trying to get as much damage as possible, while also trying to remain as safe as possible. So that's why I've gone for the Magic Mirror. What also works really well that I use on my alt account is the Healer Puppet. The Healer Puppet is really good, as everyone knows, and it's probably something that everyone's got maxed out or close to max. So I would say Healer Puppet is a close third choice in terms of that spot. Sorry, the second choice in terms of that spot. Your action figure, and then either the magic mirror or the Healer Puppet. The giant arrow, again, it's good. It has its use cases. It can be used to path if you're targeting weaker defenses. However, as soon as you pop that, your queen is so vulnerable. If something targets your queen, 9 times out of 10 she's dead. So you can use the giant arrow, but you have to be really careful when you're popping it and make sure that your queen's not walking into something like a monolith unprotected, or she's walking into a scatter shot, a multi gear. Again, if you've not got the option of the action figure so far, at the minute, you can probably Healer Puppet is pretty much a must in this attack, because you like to pop the queen ability fairly early, not too early, but you don't hold it until later in the attack. If you go with the giant arrow, again, it's viable, but I would just recommend investing a little bit more to your the funnel. So obviously, I like to drop the siege barracks, followed by a furnace, followed by the queen. I would also, if I was using the giant arrow, I'd also put an ice golem into there as well, just to try and protect her for a little bit longer. It's worth the extra. I think it's 15 housing space. Any questions on the queen or anything else to add before I move on? Because I think it's quite an important part of the attack.
Yeah, it's keeping her alive.
That's the key. That's the key here. And the magic, if you're going for maximum sustain, I would recommend action figure and healer puppet. If you want to get the queen as far into the attack as possible and get the most value from her, it's that combination: action figure, healer puppet. If you want to have a mix of clear damage and also sustainability, action figure and magic mirror is your go-to. Again, that's personal preference. Both work really well. Like I said, you can also run the unicorn as well, but I think Frosty is just too good. I think Frosty takes the spot there 100%. Okay, Grand Warden, again, it's your support hero. Plenty of options on this work with this attack. The safest option that I've come across is the Healing Tome, along with the Eternal Tome. Again, you can't really go wrong with that. You get your 8.2 seconds now of invincibility from your Eternal Tome. And obviously you get, 20 odd seconds of healing as well in your aura when you pop your healing tome. So it's excellent for sustain, excellent for keeping your troops alive in the core where there's plenty of damage. However, you are susceptible to time fails, so you need to make sure that obviously if you're not running the rage gem, you're losing your passive 40% damage on everything around it. So you just need to make sure that you're quite slick. And not this attack struggles with time, but you need to be sure that you're dropping your troops at the right time and you're trying to save as many seconds as possible and not dilly-dallying. Here, in terms of the pet, you can... This is probably your spot that you can swap if you wanted to take a different option to Diggy. I personally think Diggy is the best pet in the game. I think he's so good. He's got so much HP. The amount of times he hits that stun on the single target Inferno or the Monolith when you're trying to clean up and saves whatever it is that's doing the damage behind it is ridiculous. The amount of times this guy's come in clutch, I've lost count of. I think he's so good. For me, I wouldn't swap him out. However, if you want some more damage, you can always go with the Electro Owl. Who else is good? Phoenix for survivability. You can even go with the Jet. Any option's really valid, to be fair. Any one that you want. If there's a particular part of the attack that you're struggling with, and you say, for example, you're struggling with walls, you lose your root riders towards the back end of the attack. This would be a utility spot in terms of answering that question. So if you were struggling for walls on the back end, you could swap out Diggy for the Yak, for example. So this would be your flex spot in terms of your pet. But for me, best in slot, Diggy. And you can swap it around. You can have the Diggy on a different hero. You don't have to have it on the Warden. I just like it on the Warden because Diggy just goes his own way and your Warden stays back. It almost acts as another troop that you don't think of. And you don't really see him until the end of the attack as well, which is good. In terms of just going back to the equipment, it depends what you're up against. I think the best option would be your healing, your healing, and your rage book. Sorry, your rage gem, because there you're getting a bit of sustain, and you're also getting your damage as well. And obviously, your 40% rage damage within your aura from your Grand Warden also affects your healers as well. So you get 40% more healing from your healers, and we're taking 5 of those. So that's quite a lot of value there. However, what's quite common at the minute is double rage towers. And double rage towers are nasty, and they can mince your troops like hell. So the 8 seconds immunity from the Eternal Tome is perfect. It just negates all of that damage and pretty much stops the spell tower in its tracks. But at the same time, you don't move as fast through because you're not using the rage. So it's 6 and 2 threes. It's personal preference. I would say, in terms of my experience with this attack, I've never struggled with time, so I don't need the rage. So I always go the Eternal. It's very rarely I finish or I struggle to finish an attack. I've always got at least 20 seconds left, pretty much all the time, unless it's gone horribly wrong or something's caught me by surprise. So I think that the best option for this would be the Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome. However, plenty of other good options as well. On the Grand Warden. Anything else to add from anyone? Great. Moving on. So this is probably not controversial, but this is probably one that people wouldn't expect out of the 4. So you can have the Minion Prince or you could have the Barbarian King. Both have got the benefits. However, in this attack, and with the current meta, with the Poison Towers, and with the Rage Towers, for me, the Minion Prince, I forgot to call it, Dark Orb is just too strong. The damage you get from it and the utility, the slow, the large area of reduction of damage for your army is just incredible. And I personally cannot. I don't think the King brings as much of that. I know that the Spiky Ball and the Quake Boots are excellent, massive damage, great cleanup at the end of attack, great. But I think the Minion Prince brings more to the attack than what the Barbarian King does. Again, that's a flex spot. You can, if you prefer the Barbarian King, run the Barbarian King. The reason I like this attack so much, and the reason I like the Minion Prince, is because along with Sneezy and your henchmen puppets, you've got so many things in the air that are going out in front and tanking and scouting for mines to protect your healers at the back. Keeping them healers alive is key. If you get them healers to the end of the attack, you're never going to fail. So having something like Sneezy that spawns repetitive, I forget what they call them, the little blob things.
Snot balls.
The snot balls, yeah, that'll do. Spawning them, triggering black mines, triggering red mines, distracting high damage, hard hitting single target defenses are excellent. Sneezy is so good for that reason, and that is the sole purpose I use Sneezy in this attack. The henchman puppets as well. Again, it's you're not running a piece of epic equipment there. You could potentially run the crown, I think it's called. Is it Dark Crown? Which is good. It's got its use case, but at the same time, your henchman puppets, I think between them have got 3,000 HP each, which is
That's right.
It's
They've got
just,
more power than the Crown.
yeah, it's crazy. And even with your Crown at max stacks, if your minion prince hits a black mine, you're losing 3/4 of his health regardless. The henchman puppets got 2,500 HP each. They are tanks in their own right. I'm trying to think what's a root rider. The action figure. The action figure. 18,500 HP. It's just ridiculous. So just having those out in front are amazing for triggering mines, anything that's in the air defenses, just to protect your healers for that little bit longer. Not only that, it gives you the invisibility for 2 seconds. So if you've got a single target Inferno or a monolith on the minion prince, trigger that invisible straight away. They target something else. You get the health recovery, you get the added damage, and then you get these 2 tanky guys in front as well, which also do quite a lot of damage. It's not just for the defensive side of them. Offensively, they're great as well. So I think it should be something that everyone should have a decent level with it being a rare piece of equipment. But in terms of what it brings to the attack, second to none. I think it's excellent. And the Dark Orb, I've gone through that. It's a stupid piece of equipment. It's really, really good, really strong, really good at slowing down defenses and ensuring that your army and specifically your healers get through to the end. Okay, so in terms of the heroes, that is pretty much everything. You can also run the Phoenix on the Minion Prince as well. However, the Minion Prince for me always pretty much is the last hero standing anyway. So I don't really see the benefit from the Phoenix. I think it's good that you get the extra 8 seconds, and it can clutch sometimes if it's a hard hitting air defense or a single target that's left. It can be a good option. However, it doesn't do anything throughout the attack for me, and that's what lets it down, in my opinion. So I prefer to run Sneezy. Again, personal preference. If you feel like you want that bit of an insurance policy towards the end of the attack, that you've got your Phoenix proc left and your Minion Prince's last standing, go for the Phoenix. Again, it's hard to really say don't use the Phoenix. But again, it's different use cases, personal preferences as well. Okay, that's the heroes. In terms of the rest of the army, I'll quickly fly through. So again, none of this is set in stone as to what you need to run. You can have different variations of this to have the same success, personal preference. So Ice Golem, I use the Ice Golem to go in front of the army, so in front of the main army. You can deploy the Ice Golem, like I mentioned earlier, with the secondary funnel, so the counter funnel, along with the barracks, the queen, and the furnace. That's fine. If you feel like you're going to be walking into a lot of defense and it's a risk, or you're walking into a town hall, which I wouldn't recommend, you can always deploy your Ice Golem in front to protect your secondary funnel. Root Riders, again, this is the attacks based around them. You can adjust how many you take. I think 5's a nice sweet spot. You can do 4, you can take 6, you can take as many as you want. But again, the more you take, you lose elsewhere. The less you take, you risk not getting them to the end of the attack and struggling to get through walls. So I think 5 for me is the sweet spot. 5 healers, again, I think in this attack, healers are necessary to get through to the end and keep your Root Riders alive. That's what they're there for. You can, again, drop that to 4, maybe even 3, but you'll lose a lot of healing power. So personal preference again. You can swap and change that. Your 2 balloons, they are there to go in front of your healers when you deploy your troops. Pretty much just to go there and be cannon fodder to protect the healers from the black mines that might trigger on the around the edge or heading into the base. So they're pretty much cannon fodder. But they do a lot of damage as well. So, and they've got a lot of HP. they're great to have. See, I'm seeing people running 3 of them, some people running 1. Me personally, I think 2 is a sweet spot. Apprentice Warden, not running the life gem on the Warden, which again is another viable option, but probably not as good as the other 2 that we've got. So the aura from the Apprentice Warden, I think it's 22% extra HP for everything inside. It's quite a lot of HP for 20 hours in space. I think it's probably one of the best value troops in the game for ground attacks, for sure. So Apprentice Warden, you need. I'll just skip the Electro Titan for now. Valkyries, they're going to be your primary damage dealers. You want to try and keep them alive, so you can swap and change with the amount that you take. I probably wouldn't go any lower than 6. If I'm being quite, I wouldn't go any lower than 6. Maybe 5 at a push, but if anything, you probably want to be pushing that up past 6. I've reduced that down to incorporate a super wall breaker and also an Electro Titan in there. You can drop the Electro Titan for a Super Valk. I've seen a lot of people running Super Valks recently, which again is a good option. A lot of damage, a lot of HP. But the Electro Titan, for me, the HP on those things are ridiculous. The damage isn't very good, but I'm not taking it for that. The reason I'm taking it is if you lose the RC early, this army can get really chogged up and go really slow through the middle of the base when skeleton spells trigger, because there's nothing there in the army that is AoE or splash. It's all single target, so it can be an absolute nightmare, the skeleton spells. So that's why I like to take the Electro Wizard, because of the aura around her just deals with them with no issues. That's why I run it. Like I said, you can run the Super Valk there as well, or even take more Valks. More Valks, more damage, but I use the Electro Titan as a bit more of a utility option rather than damage. Super Wall Breaker, again, you could drop that if you wanted to. However, I put a lot of reliability on my Queen getting to where I want her to get to allow my troops to then go in the direction I want. That counter funnel has got to be bang on. So if I've got a wall that I need to break through, my Queen can't get through it. That's why I'm taking the Super Wall Breaker. You don't always need it. You can, a lot of the times you throw it at the end because you don't need it. But in the instance that there's a wall there and you need to get through it, it's perfect to have. And as well, I know it's 8 housing space, but the assurance it gives you in terms of a normal wall breaker is worth it, in my opinion. The normal wall breakers have got a lot less health and they don't explode before they hit a wall. So with the super wall breaker, you're guaranteed that it's going to blow up, even if it's close to the wall. It'll put a hole in it, which is what I like. Super barbs. This is probably, if I could improve anything in this attack, I'd like a bit more cleanup, I must admit. But to try and fit everything into the attack, I've sacrificed the super barbs. I did used to take 7. I can't remember what I actually. Oh, it's to incorporate the furnace. You could, if you wanted to, drop the furnace. I don't really see many people using the furnace. A lot. I know Late doesn't. Jax, I don't think you use it in your attacks. I think it's really good. I think it's really good for just helping with the funnel, and they also tank a few hits as well, which you don't realise, and passively do some damage and help your Queen push into where you want her to go. If you wanted to, you could just drop the furnace altogether and take 4 super barbs, and that'd take you up to the 7 that I mentioned at the start. And then you've got more, you can deploy them to help with your counter funnel, or if you don't need them for your counter funnel, your Queen and your siege barracks, you can always use them at the end for cleanup. That is probably the biggest flex spot in this army, if I was to say so. So again, have a play around with it, see what you think. Okay, onto the spells. Obviously, we've touched upon the invisibility spells. We know what they're for. What I will say is we'll go into what we aim for with the RC and what value we want to get, what we don't want to risk. It's always nice to try and keep an invisibility spell if we can towards the end of the attack. And you'll have all experienced it, where you've got what you need with the RC, you've got out and you've got some invisibility spells left, or you've lost your RC early, and you've got all these invisibility spells that you need to use. They can be really, really good Obviously, when you've got your army all together in clumped in one area, you're getting so much value because it's protecting them for 4 seconds. So it's not a necessity. You don't take them to save them, but if you can save one, it can be the difference between being successful and losing. Rage spells. Here, I take one in the CC as well, so I take 2. If I was to run the Rage gem, I would drop one of these and probably go. Well, I'd go with something else. I wouldn't know what I'd go with straight away. Maybe 2 freezers potentially, or a freeze and an extra invis. But if you with me running the Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome, it's nice to have that bit of extra damage to push through that core. And I like to have 2 rages, just in case. Because sometimes I give one to my RC if I think she's in a good area and can get some good damage and good value from it. So I like to take 2. So I've definitely got one for my main army, main push. Skeleton spell. That's sorry, Zai. Did you want to say something?
No. Wife come in, she said my tea's ready, so I'm gonna eat it while I'm listening.
All right, no worries. Skeleton spell. No other reason for taking it other than distracting your heavy hitting single target defenses. So your monoliths, your multi gears. Try and avoid deploying these near a multi-target inferno because they just do nothing. A multi-target inferno just eats them up. A lot of people now have quite cleverly started putting the monolith next to a multi-target inferno to try and counter these spells. So if you do come across that, try and use the skeleton spell. Try and drop it a bit further away from the multi-inferno tower, just so it's not zapping them all as they're coming up, and it's obviously still in range of the monolith. So yeah, just try and be a bit clever with that. But the primary purpose there is to try and ease the pressure on the main army. Recall spell. It's for the RC. We always look to recall the RC. Purpose for using the recall rather than the revive, which people will ask, is for me. I think the purpose of the ability to be able to pick up your RC and redeploy her where you want her is massive. And for me, that is stronger than the ability to revive. Again, personal preference. You might prefer to run the revive spell because you do get a lot of health back when you do revive the hero. However, 9 times out of 10, your RC dies in an area that's got a lot of heavy hitting defenses. When you revive that RC, if your army's not cleared it, she's going to get destroyed again. Unless you've saved some.
If there's a hero about.
Yeah. If there's a hero about, it'll target the hero, and it's a nightmare. What I would say though, honourable mention, Rocket Spear and the revive does work really well with the RC. As long as you're reviving the RC in a safe position, or even holding back some invisibility spells. I used to do this really well with the dragon attack, and use the rocket spear for the end of the attack for cleanup, along with a couple of invisibility spells as well. That still works, and it's nice to have. So that it could be another option. Ice block. It's a new spell. I must admit I've had my reservations about this spell, but Later's taught me into running it, and I must admit the versatility on this spell is incredible. You think at the start, well, why would you use that spell? It just slows everything down. The best use cases for this spell on this attack is, on the very rare occasion, your RC will run off in an opposite direction, or if you don't deploy her early enough, she can run off in an opposite direction. And she always runs faster than the rest of your troops anyway, because the route riders are quite slow. So if she does that and goes ahead, you can drop this ice block on your RC to slow her down. She's taking 95%, I think, is reduced damage. So she's not taking damage. The passive healing that she's getting from her electro boots are actually healing her quicker than what she's actually taking damage. So you're not really seeing much damage. And then that is giving the time for the army behind to catch up. And then when the ice block ends, your root riders are in front, ideally, and they're taking the brunt again, and your RC's there freed up to do the damage. Or it gives the root riders a chance to catch up, take out the defences that are targeting the RC, and then your RC is free to carry on. Another thing as well that's really good is if you want to get the most value out of this spell, if you drop it on your root riders, but you drop it tactically so you don't catch your healers. So your root riders are at the front of the army, they're taking 90% or whatever it is reduced damage. You've got your healers at the back, you can even drop a rage on your healers. You're healing everything back up to max before the ice block finishes. So you can use that in an area of heavy defenses. If you're looking at your roots health and you think if they're quite low, drop your ice block, drop a rage on the healers at the back, and they'll heal straight back up. It's like a mini warden, eternal tome, and I emphasize mini because it's not as good, but at the same time, it's costing you 3 spells. It's costing you a rage, and it's costing you 1 for the ice block. It's really, really good. So I'd recommend using that. However, it's not necessary. It just gives you another string to your bow, really, that I've found. Instead of that, you can run an extra freeze. I was running a freeze before using the ice block. That still works well. And obviously, it's something that's more familiar to everyone as well.
Yeah, if your army hits a tornado, it's good to put it on that as well.
Yeah, and that's a good shout, Zai. And the thing that I've not mentioned as well, which is probably the best time for using it, is it gives you the confidence to run your RC into an invisibility tower. So you run your RC into an invisibility tower, it hits one of the defences in range, it triggers the invisibility tower, drop your ice block on your ice RC. By the time that the ice block has expired, the invisibility spell's expired. So it takes it completely out of the equation. And then your RC goes in, you carry on your walk as normal, and you take out that compartment, and you've got one less invisibility spell to worry about. Really good, really versatile. It just gives you that extra, like I said, string to your bow if you need it. And it's always good to have a plan B, because obviously, as you know, not every attack goes the way you want it to go. And while we're on the subject of triggering invisibility towers, Minion Prince's Dark Orb is excellent for that because the range on it is really good. So if your Minion Prince is targeting a invisibility tower at the far back, pop it from range, hit one of the defences and pop that before your army gets towards it. Problem solved. And again, another use case for your skeleton spell is similar. You can drop your skeleton spell followed by an invisibility spell on top of it. And then your skeleton spell will hit one of the defenses in range and then trigger the invisibility tower as well. So that's another use case for the skeleton spell, not just there to distract hard hitting single target defenses. Okay, in terms of the siege that we're using, we're running the siege barracks. As mentioned, again, there's a use case for the troop launcher. However, I think if I take the siege barracks out of this particular army, the funnel on the second funnel will be too weak. 2 Peckers and however many wizards you get at the back, it's such good value. The siege barracks. In terms of what's in the siege barracks, super minions are amazing. You see a lot of bases now where you've got isolated rings with a single target inferno in there. If your queen, for whatever reason, you can't break her in and she starts walking round, as soon as your siege barracks expires, your minions come out and they just take out that single target inferno from range and they don't even get targeted. They got buffed in the last patch as well, so they get an extra shot from range. They're excellent. They're just so safe, and it's the amount of times that they're left alive at the end of the attack is ridiculous. They're really, really good. Another option, Valks. You can run Valks there as well. They work probably not as well, but they're again a good source of damage, and they do help take out them trash buildings that 9 times out of 10 that's what they'll be there to do on the outside. Okay, I think that's everything in terms of the army explained. Jax or anyone else on the call, is there anything that I've missed there that you think would be worth going over in a bit more detail?
Yeah, just every week there's the starry ore from the raid medals. Get 10 starry ore every single week.
Already got mine.
Yep, that's it. Just equipment is so important. Get your equipment leveled up. Waltz can only do what he does because his equipment is maxed. So that's the most important thing about this attack is get in Legends League, get your daily bonus, your shiny and glowy ore, and get all your commons maxed, and then slowly work on your epics. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. And again, get in wars. If you're not in wars,
get in war.
Yeah, if you're not in wars, get in them. We've had this argument, I don't know how many times, Jax, with numerous people about people not warring and wanting to level the heroes up. I get that. That's completely fine. No problem dedicating time to your heroes. But as you quite rightly said, the equipment's that strong in the game now. One level to a piece of equipment is worth a lot more than one hero level. One, there's a lot more hero levels there, so they are worth less and less the more levels that come. And the equipment, every patch to get stronger and stronger because they want people to spend money on the game to get the new equipment. So, yeah, the equipment is key. If you're not in wars, get in wars. Even if you have to go in with one hero down, we allow that. Get yourself into wars and get that ore. That's going to benefit you massively. Okay, right. So that was quite an in-depth explanation. What we'll do is we'll go into the attack strategy. So before we go into that, is there anything from anyone else? Any questions at all? Any other options or anything that people have found that might have even tested over the last few days? Okay, no problem. Right, so I've not done this before, so let's see how it goes. What I did was I took a couple of screenshots of bases that I hit yesterday, and I want to. I'll draw and I'll annotate how the attack, how I see it in my head working. And again, I said it at the start. I'll say it again. There is more than one way to skin a cat, and what I'm saying here is not gospel. It's not you've got to do it this way. You've got to do it this way. That's far from the truth. What I'm showing you is what I've found success with. And like I've said with the army, the composition, change that around. Everyone's different. But I'll just take you through what I look at when I see a base like this. So, first of all, what I'm looking for is spitters. So you can see your fire spitters. Hold on. So you can see your fire spitters in the centre. So next to the CC, bang next to the town hall. So here, the likelihood of getting into those with your RC charge, it's small. You're not going to get them. So what you want to try and do is at least get behind one of them. And what I mean by that is obviously that if you look at the way they're facing now, they're facing at each other. If you click on them, I can't because it's a screenshot, but the cone goes in front of them. So that means that if you was to walk behind this one, you'd only be getting hit by this one, vice versa. So even though the cone shows you it's covering that whole area, you're not getting hit by them both. So you try and ideally get your army in behind those spitters. The reason it's so important is they do so much damage in an area, and the spit from it goes that far, it hits your healers. You don't want to lose your healers. That's the last thing you want to lose. So first thing is think about where them spitters are. If you can take one of them out, if one of them is isolated by the arse on the edge of the base, great. Try and target it. Get it down so you don't have to deal with it. I'm also looking at where the monolith is. So they're horrible, they're nasty, no matter what attack, they're horrible. You want to get rid of them. So if the monolith is in a position where it's reachable, then go for the monolith. Again, in this compartment, you've also got the ricochet and the multi-archer, which again, they're not nice defenses. So if you can get in there safely and take that compartment out, that's good value. But again, more risk because you're going in towards the centre. You've also got your poison tower. The next thing to consider is your spell towers. If you can get one of those with the RC walk at the start, excellent. Especially, it depends. It doesn't matter what it is, to be honest. I was going to say, especially if it's a rage tower, but they're all as impactful as each other. But yeah, the rage towers at the minute are smashing through defenses. So if you can trigger one of those early with the RC, excellent value. So that's it. That's what we're looking for in terms of what we want the RC to achieve. What our primary aim is to break the ring. So if you're not familiar with that, I can see here quite clearly you've got a ring that is going all the way around the base. And then you've got the core in the middle. So what people want you to do is they'll try and bait your RC and they want to try and stop you from breaking that ring. So if you will drop your RC and you don't break the ring, your troops will just go around and round and round, get hit by everything and all the damage in the centre, and you'll potentially get a 1-star, maybe a 2 if you're lucky. That's the purpose of these bases. As well, to try and combat that, they try and place defences in clever locations like these 2 wizard towers, which means that your RC, when you drop, is going to pull either left or right. If it pulls either way, the next defence in range is going to be these guys. And you can hedge your bets that there'll probably be a Tesla here and a Tesla here, just to try and stop it going in towards the town hall. So they're trying to bait you. If it pulls left, it pulls right. Obviously, the reason you would drop there would be to get the town hall. It protects the town hall. If it goes left, you go into that giant bomb, which obviously, gigabomb, sorry, which again does a lot of damage in a large area. 9 times out of 10, you lose your fox. If you go this way, probably a bit safer, but again, you're not getting into the core, which is what you want. So here, what you're looking at is, what you're asking yourself is, right, my primary target is to disrupt the ring. So the easiest way to probably do that is to look at a corner. However, bases are built now where they put the weaker defences or the defences that don't mean as much in the corners, because that's where it's easier to get in. So it's a tough one, because obviously your primary target is to get your RC in, disrupt the ring, and create a good place for your army to be dropped, so it goes in the direction you want. However, you also want to try and get as much value from the RC charge as possible. If you was to go in and take out those bomb tower, expos are pretty damaging. Archer towers you don't really care about. Obviously, air defenses very little because it's a ground attack, and bomb towers pretty much do nothing. If you were to take that out, it's very little value. So I also try and look at what value I can get. What's the best bang for my buck, as the Americans would say. So I'm trying to think, right, how can I how can I get in the easiest but get the most return? So straight away I'm thinking, right, how can I do this? If I was to look at this right hand side here, I try and look at defense that is stuck out. So your RC goes towards it. So it's something that's like a magnet. It pulls your RC in towards it. But then I'm thinking, right, if I deploy here, where this arrow is, if I drop to the left-hand side of it, so here, it's going to go into the multi-archer, which is great. You want to get one of those. Then it's going to head into the ricochet cannon, which is excellent. Then it's probably going to go to the builder hut. After the builder hut, I don't know. It's either going to go up here to your ricochet, your scatter shot, which is what you want, or it's going to go down. Again, not bad value if it goes down either, because you're getting an expo. So, and to be fair, other than this section here, you're pretty much nailed on in the direction it's going to go. So to me, from that position, you're getting good value whilst also having a fairly safe entry, and also you're gonna break the ring. So if we drop the RC in here, and let's say we take out this section, so that section's gone. Excellent. So we don't need to worry about that. So your RC's gone in. You've used your invis spells. You've taken out that whole compartment. Great. So what's next? So next, you're thinking, right, where do I want my main army to go, and how do I get there? So because you've broken the ring in this corner, so at 3 o'clock you've broken the ring. You've got two options. Your army can go from here. So if you were to deploy your army here at this wizard tower, your army would go this way. It'd walk into the town hall. It'd either go left towards that air defense, or it'd go in towards the town hall and straight through the core, which is great. However, if they do pull left, like I've said originally, is there anything there stopping them from pulling left? At the minute, no. So that's where your counter funnel comes in. So if you opted for this option to go this way and in, you would want something here to cancel out this section to ensure your funnel is set and your troops go in the direction you want them to go in. So that's option one. That would work. However, you're walking directly into the town hall and you're walking directly into two spitters under a rage tower. So you'll be looking at potentially using your warden ability quite early to protect your troops, which is fine, not a problem. So that would be option one, not my preferred option. And the reason for that is because what I'm looking for is, so you do this section first, you drop your RC, you pick up your RC, then you're straight away dropping your funnel. So if you was to drop your barracks and queen here, you'd probably have to wait 20 seconds probably for your queen and your barracks to get in deep enough to take out your air defense, your expo, and your multi-gear. And that's 20 seconds that you just sat there waiting, and it's 20 seconds that you're risking a time fail on. So I always, as much as that's a good option, I'm always thinking, right, how can I get my troops in early so I'm doing as much damage as quick as possible? So I'm thinking, right, I broke this corner, so option one is this wizard tower. Option two is the opposite wizard tower, so the one at 3 o'clock. So here. So what you would do here is, obviously, your troops would come in this direction, so about here, unscathed. That'd be fairly straightforward. But then you've got another dilemma in this corner, similar to what you've got at 6 o'clock, what we've just gone through. However, if you was to drop your barracks in this corner, along with your queen, you're dropping your troops here. That gives your queen and your barracks and your furnace on this time on 9 o'clock enough time to get deep into this compartment to take out your air defense, your expo, and that wizard. Well, to be fair, it probably just needs to get. I mean, that'd be nice as well if it got the ricochet cannon to make sure it does pull in down the center, and then your main army comes down like that. So that is why I would opt for a 1 o'clock drop here. So it gives your funnel enough time to achieve what it needs to achieve. And what it needs to achieve is these defenses need to go. So your troops coming round, and ideally at the time that last defense is cleared from your queen here, your army comes straight up into the center towards the town hall. That is the ideal scenario there. So that's what I would be looking for. Like I said, there's more than one.
And you have to do all that in 30. You have to do all that in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and you're never going to get it right all the time. You'll never get it. You'll never get it right all the time. I'll show you my legend hits from yesterday. I think I might have only got 4 triples, maybe, potentially. You never get it right. However, in wars, this is your time to get it right, because you have got the time. You're not limited by that 30-second scout. This is where you need to be putting all of this that I'm trying to show you into practice. And even friendly challenges as well. They fall into the same mold. So this is what you're aiming for. So RC, primary RC is to get in and get out and disrupt the ring, kill the ring. Don't get too hungry and go for more value. Do not bite more than what you can chew. If you risk going for something of lower value, something that you don't need to get with your RC, you risk the whole attack. So get in, get out. If there's any risk there, get her out. Obviously, the more value you can get, the better. But there's more that can go wrong if you lose your RC versus if you wanted to get that extra defense. Always get her out. If you're unsure, you run out of invisibility spells and you think, oh, just one more hit, it'll go. Never take that risk. Get her out. So get her in, get your funnel. Excellent. So the difference between this and I'll call it version 1 of my attack was, I always, as soon as my RC's out, that is when my Queen and Barracks go in. My Queen and Barracks go in. I wait probably 5 seconds for them to get in and take out a few defences, and then I'm dropping my army straight away. I'm straight on my army then. So then you don't have to worry about time. Whereas before, I was waiting for my Queen to get in. I was waiting for my Queen to take this out. Waiting. Excellent. Right, wait, done. Drop my army. So I could waste 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Whereas with this attack, you're not having to do that, because you're creating the space between funnel 1 and your counter funnel, because you're doing it from one end of the base to the other. So you're always looking. You always want to try and visualize it. So like here, obviously, that is out. So we cancel that off. Then you're thinking, right, I want my troops to go in a line, or as close to a line as possible. So how do I do that? So straight away I'm thinking, here is a fairly decent line round here, like that. Let's see. I could drop my troops here and they go around in that direction. But then you've got the dilemma of, right, what if they go round and round and round, don't come into the centre and just carry on going round, and then you just ring. And then you might get it, you might not, but you're risking it. So you need to look at how you then stop this from happening. So you want to cut out this corner, so your troops then come directly in. And this is all in 30 seconds. And as well, I'm not saying this is easy, but it gets easier the more you do it. And this is why I'm getting not frustrated, but Gerard is putting in a lot of pressure on himself to get this right, to get it perfect. And he will get it. He will get it 100%. He's more than capable of doing it. But it's not going to happen in a few days. It just won't. I've used Root Riders for months. And this was only a slight change to my attack. And it took me maybe a couple of weeks to get it right. And that was only a slight change. To go from dragons, clones, blimp to roots, it's a complete landscape change. So we have to be patient with it and take us time. And like I said at the very start, not one shoe fits all. So again, you'll think, well, I don't like Magic Mirror. Don't use Magic Mirror. Use what works for you. Go with the healers. The healers work just as well. And in some scenarios, probably work better. They've even been buffed in the last patch. So there's plenty of options, is what I'm trying to get at. And I'm not saying this is the way to do it, balls to everything else. Okay. I'll save that masterpiece now. We'll move on to the next one. So this base, quite similar. So straight away you're looking, right, spitters, where are they? You're thinking, fucking hell, they're in the middle again. So I can't get one of them. Your monolith's isolated. You're thinking, nightmare. What am I going to do then? Right, my first target is to break the ring. So forget about everything else. Forget about spitters, monoliths, all them. You need to break the ring. So where can I get in safely? So I'm asking this question to everyone on the call. Where can we get in safely where we've got a fairly, say, a 90% chance that as RC is going to go where we want her to go, whilst also delivering us what we want to achieve and breaking the ring. So in terms of the ring, just so everyone can visualize it, it's this, isn't it? That's your ring. So that's what you want to break. Somewhere along that ring you want to break. So I'm opening up the floor.
I'd probably say 6 o'clock.
So 6 down here.
Yeah.
And what direction would you want the RC to take?
Well, towards the Inferno, hopefully.
So you drop, if you drop in here where the yellow X is, yeah, you go Archer Tower, probably Wizard Tower, then it probably pull left and get the multi. Maybe pull left again and get the mortar.
Yeah, that mortar's the one that could knacker it up.
Yeah, because if it pulls left and hits the mortar, it's probably going to pull left and hit the builder up. And if it hits the builder up, it's going to the multi-gear.
Yep.
So how can we eliminate that? So that's what we need to avoid. How can we get the same value? So just sticking with what Zai said here, how can we eliminate that risk?
I'd probably waste an invis on it, so it'd go into Inferno.
Yeah. And where would you invis? At what point?
Probably on the multi-archer.
Yeah, you can do it there. Yeah. But I'm thinking, even without the redirect, even without wasting that invisibility spell, how can we get in from 6 o'clock and guarantee we're going to get in and get what we want? Because there is a way.
The
bomb tower?
Yeah, the bomb tower, yeah.
100%. If you were to drop here around this area, we'll just get rid of that. To the left of the bomb tower, he's going to go up. It might get distracted by the RC. That is a red herring there. It might not. It may do. Bomb tower, and then it's probably going to pull left, maybe towards the wizard tower, or even the expo. But either way, if it hits the expo first, it's definitely going left towards that wizard tower. If it hits the wizard tower, it's definitely going right to the expo. Next target is what we want to get. It's the value. It's that Inferno. After the Inferno, it can't go right. It's going to go left. It has to get the air defense, and then it's going to go to your multi. And at that point, you don't need to waste any more invis because you've got what you need. You've got your value. You've got what you came for, and all that is gone. You've got the same value than what you would have, but with less risk. So this is the most important part of the attack, is making sure, and again, 30 seconds, it's tough. You're never going to get it bang on. But you need to visualize that path in your head. Where I've drawn these arrows, I know they're not very good arrows and it's a bit of a mess, even for me, and I've done it myself. But that's what you need to be looking for.
As you said in wars, you've got plenty of time to scout.
Yeah, and you've got the whole clan as well, Zai, and say, look, where do you think it would be best to drop here? What route do you think it's going to go in? Take a screenshot, drop it in the Discord. Look, guys, I'm thinking about dropping at 6. I'm going to drop at this Archer Tower. Do you think that's the best place to drop it? Where do you think it's going next? I think it's going to go Archer Tower, Mortar, Ricochet, whatever. And then one of us are going to come back and say, well, yeah, that looks good, that Zai. Yeah, I can't think there's any better entry points. Or someone might come back and say, do you know what? What Jack just said with the bomb tower. That bomb tower looks like probably a better option because it's safer. So that's the value of the community. Is take your time. There's no rush in wars. There's no rush in CWL. We're all here to help. There's no point having a Discord with 200 members in if we're not going to be talking and helping. That's what we want. That's what we've built. Use it. Okay, so moving on. So that's excellent, by the way, Zai, Jax, everyone involved. That's excellent. That's exactly what we want. So we've cut that corner out. You can see the red has gone over the yellow ring, which is what we want. So we broke the ring. We've got exactly what we want. So now we're thinking, right, where is the best place to deploy my army? And what do I need to do to ensure my army goes in the direction I want them to go? So if we're thinking back to the last, example that we did, we've broke this corner, which is here. That's all gone. We can drop to the right here or the left of the break. And that's not to say you need to drop at that wizard tower, by the way. I'm just saying you need to be looking at it visually and thinking, right, I broke the ring. I can either drop to the right of it or the left of it, because all that section in between is gone. It's not. You don't have to worry about them pulling that way. So, what are we thinking? What direction do we think would be the best for the troops to go in? And if we're also thinking about what I said earlier about, we're thinking about the time it takes for your main army to reach your counter funnel.
Is the counter funnel at 12 o'clock then?
I would. Yeah, I think it's got to be 12 o'clock. So your counter funnel's at 12 o'clock. So if you're looking at deploying to the right of this corner, you're going to be dropping here, aren't you, at this wizard tower, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you're going to drop all your troops here. It's going to go right. It's going to go wizard tower. It's going to go mortar. They're going to then come in. You probably drop a super barb here maybe to cancel out those trashed buildings. It's going to come in. You'll clear this section out probably with your minion prints or your non-defense targeting troops. You'll clear that out. They'll come round this way. They'll come round that way, and then they'll get to this section here. And you're thinking, right, now what they're going to do? So they're going to go either pull here to your wizard tower or to your monolith. Whichever way they go, it doesn't really matter. I mean, ideally, you want them to go into the monolith because you want to take that down as soon as possible because it's going to be in range of your troops. But if they go to the wizard tower, it goes to the wizard tower, doesn't it? It'll just take you an extra 5 seconds to clear the wizard tower, take out the monolith. You drop your skeleton spell on the monolith, you distract it. But what you then want to do is make sure they don't pull up here, which is what you said, Zai. You don't want them to come up here. So to keep them out of that section, that is where I'd be dropping my queen and my barracks. And my queen and my barracks would be making sure that that section is cleared. And also, you can drop those as soon as you've cleared your initial funnel with your RC. You've got plenty of time from your army dropping here to work the way up for your queen, and then to be working her way in, and your barracks to take out ricochet, air defense, builder or expo, mortar. And then your troops have got no choice but to go directly in this way into your centre. And then at this point, your archer queen, if you've kept her alive and you've given a freeze to her, if that ricochet cannon's doing a bit of damage, and your action figure's gonna come down here, start clearing this out, and by the time your counter funnel has made its way down here, your troops have probably got the town hall and they're pulling up there as well to finish off the last bit of the base. And that's what you're looking for. So to break it down, your first priority is break the ring. It doesn't have to be a corner. Doesn't have to be in the centre. But it's break the ring, but always have in the back of your mind about the value. What can you get from it? How easy can you get in? Your priority is always getting in and out safely. So if you can't get the value, and the only way to get in and out is to take some weaker defences, then that's what you go for, as opposed to going for a riskier option with harder defences, maybe under a spell tower, a rage tower or a poison tower, and you go for the easier option, and the ring takes precedence. You always break that ring, no matter what. As soon as you break that, then you're thinking, right, where? Then this is before the attack. You think, right, RC is going there. I want to get that. That's my value. So that's 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. Then you're thinking, right, once I've got them out, I'm visualizing it then. So let's just have a look. Let's go back a few. So once you've taken... So once you've taken this section out, this red section, then you're thinking, right, phase 2, where's my counter funnel going to be? And where do I want my army to go? Then you're thinking, right, you're visualizing this section out of the base. You're thinking, right, where's my entry point going to be? Right, it's going to be this wizard tower. So that's my army. Right, where's my counter funnel going to go? Where do I need to put my counter funnel to ensure my army go where I want them to go? And the answer to that question is, obviously, we've just done it, so you know he's up here. So that's where you drop your barracks, and that's where you drop your queen. So all this is in that 30 seconds. It's tough. You'll get there. There's no doubt about it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And sometimes I run out in the 30 seconds of thinking, God, I cannot break this down. I do not have an answer for this base. But you will get some bases like that, because some of them are just set up to counter your mindset. There's people out there that think exactly like you, Zai, that think exactly like me, and they're thinking, right, what base would I struggle on? Right, I'm going to build a base that I would hate. And you do come across them every so often. They're built just to counter your mindset. So you're never going to get it perfect. There's no one in this clan that hits 310. Is it 310? No.
320.
Yeah, 320. I don't mind blank. There's no one that hits 320 every day. No one's perfect. As long as you're in the mid 200s, maybe like 230 plus, you're doing well. That's fine. They're all practice. These are practices. It's CWL that we need to practice and that we need to be focusing on wars, because it's where you've got the more time to do it, you execute it perfectly, and then it gets easier when you're doing it in wars, and then you've got your 30 seconds. Sorry, in Legends League, when you've only got your 30 seconds to scout.
Yeah, I think probably in the wars, you look at it and sometimes you might overthink it.
Yeah, it's true. You do.
Mm.
And I think that's what, because everyone wants to do well, and no one wants to do bad. You wouldn't be in the clan at this level if you wanted to do bad. And I think it's very easy to put a lot of pressure on yourself, and like you said, overthink it and do something that you wouldn't normally do because you're feeling pressured. I'm the same. It's horrible. My attack yesterday, my heart was thumping. Didn't like it. But that's because I want to do well, and we all do. And when you're failing, even though you're trying your best, it's a horrible feeling. But again, you're not going to succeed at everything. It'll take time. But as long as we can see that you're trying, that's all that matters. If you're just chucking your troops in, spamming them, that's when I'm going to have a problem, because you're not showing any signs of wanting to improve. And that's the concerning bit. Anyway, so looking at that, I hope that visual representation helps. I know it's obviously going to go out the window when we start looking at actual live examples, but I hope that helps. I'm quite a visual learner, so that kind of stuff that works for me. Okay, any questions before we move on? Because I'm actually going to show you those hits on those two bases, because I can't remember how I did them myself actually, and how I dissected them down. I'm probably going to contradict everything I've just said, so beware. But again, this is the pressure, like you said, Zaya, the 30 seconds. So sometimes you have to rush it. You can't see the entry in that 30 seconds, and you think, oh God, I'm going to have to drop, or my timings are going to be off my RC, so you're dropping your rush. Are there any questions?
Well, let's have a look. See how you do it.
Okay, let's have a look. Was it that? Okay, so that's base 2, isn't it, that we've looked at? So let's have a look. Let's see what we did. Right, so straight away I'm thinking, right, Wizard Tower. Here it's a bit risky. You don't know where he's going to go, do you? He could go left,
No.
could skew left and go to your bomb tower, skew right to go to your mortar. So I'm probably thinking, right, I'm going to have to redirect here. Might get lucky, it might just go in on its own. Let's see. Goes in. At this point, I'm happy. Right, it's going left now. Which is what we kind of said on the example, wasn't it? We wanted to get this section.
Yeah.
I mean, there I've got lucky. The RC has pulled me in towards the tower, and I've got the scatter, and I'm buzzing here. I'm thinking, great, got lucky. Lost the fox, unfortunately. Right, get out. No risk now, done. So that again is what pretty much kind of what we drew, isn't it? That section disappearing.
Yeah.
I know we've got a bit deeper up here, but that's pretty much what we drew. Right, so what am I thinking now? Right, barracks 12. So you called that as well, Zai, which is good.
Yeah.
So barracks is down. I've waited for both my peckers to come out before I drop my queen. You can do this different ways. I like to protect my queen. A lot of people like to do it the opposite way around and put the queen first with the frosty and let the queen take the hits and save the peckers. I prefer the peckers being the bait, keeping the queen. It's either or, personal preference. You can see here my super wall breaker's gone in. It's getting towards a ricochet cannon. Right. That is probably about 10 seconds and I've started deploying my army. So if you look here, I've not even cleared that ricochet cannon on the top corner at 12 o'clock. At this point, I dropped my army. I'm thinking this could go wrong because I'm not waiting for the perfect funnel to be set before I drop my troops. And that is the biggest difference here, is that you're creating a funnel proactively.
Hoping the funnel's going to get there before you do.
Yes, correct.
Before your main army does.
That's it. So if you look here, again, I know the replay time is not very accurate. It's saying I've got 1 minute and 16 left, but that's how long it takes for the replay. So at this point,
right, yeah.
I've probably got, you get 3 minutes, don't you? So it's RC probably 2:20. Then I've dropped me barracks. I've probably got around 2 minutes left here at this point. Probably got 2 minutes left, maybe 150. So, and as well, I've not mentioned it. Notice the placement. So you can just see the ice golem in between the two barracks, so the pet house and the dark barracks. So that's gone in first to tank that ricochet cannon. I want to keep my roots alive as long as possible. Then my roots have gone in behind my ice golem, and then my healers have gone in after. I want everyone that shoots healers, they have a mind of their own. So I don't want to give them any opportunity to not target what I want them to bloody target. So I always put them directly behind my root riders. There is an argument to be had here that you probably should put your balloons in first, because if there are any black mines there, they are going to take the black mines. However, it's not very often that they have black mines and red mines on the very edge of the base. So what I tend to do is get my healers in first to try and get that heal in as soon as possible to ensure they target on what I want them to target to, and then straight after get my balloons in, because your balloons are quicker than your healers and they go ahead anyway. And by the time they've got in towards the base, that's where the mines are going to be, and they hit the mines. Okay. So my healers, balloons, then I've got my apprentice warden in, then I've got my Valks, Grand Warden, Minion Prince. And what you'll see here is is a delay. And this is all just purely based on the speed of the Royal Champion and me not wanting to lose the Royal Champion early on in this attack. So Minion Prince is in, so you can Grand Ward and Minion Prince, and then you want to have about a 5 to 10 second delay, minimum 5, depending on what you're running into. I'm thinking here, right, there's a Ricochet cannon there. If I get really unlucky and drop him now, if she runs in first and gets aggro with that Ricochet cannon and the secondary shots are hitting her, I could potentially lose her. And the Expo, it could get messy. So that's why I've put the delay in. So the delay is quite important here. So notice at 12 o'clock as well, my wall break has done a good job. My Pekka's heading, one of the Pekkas is heading in towards that section. Ideally, I'd like the Queen to get in there, but she's not. But Pekka should do the job based on what's in there, I think. So let's keep watching. Oh, the Arch Queen's gone in now, and then the Royal Champion's gone down. So probably maybe 8 seconds delay. But if you look, I've dropped the RC when that Ricochet is gone to make sure she's got the safest entry possible. The Expo's distracted by something else, so she's not going to get hit by anything now. Well, single targetly anyway, she'll get hit by a splash. She'll not get hit by anything now up until either that Wizard Tower or the Monolith. So safe entry, your Pekkas are in, your Queen's targeting that section. I'm wanting that Expo to go down, and I'm hoping that's what happens. So I mean, Monolith is distracted, Wizards are going on the Expo, Valks are pulled out, which is not ideal. Right, so there's my freeze on the Monolith because the RC is the furthest troop forward, and I've dropped my skeleton spell. Probably didn't need the skeleton spell in this example because the Monolith is going to go down before the freeze expires anyway, so I probably didn't need to drop that. Probably the freeze would have been ample. But just to show you, you can see as well, the Queen ability there has popped. So the Queen's got down to about half health, and I've popped the ability. The reason I do that is if you leave the ability to pop on its own, it's very easy for something to be shot before the invisibility kicks in, like a scatter shot blow, and hits the target and kills your Queen off. So always try and pop your Queen ability. If you're running the Magic Mirror, always try and pop your Queen ability about half health. Don't leave it too late. Always keep an eye on that Queen ability. At this point, the funnel's set, everything's perfect. Everything's going to go in where I want them to go. I'm happy. What I'm looking at now is I don't think you'll be able to see it on the replay, is the health of the Root Riders. So the next key thing is the Grand Warden ability here is to make sure that I pop it at the right time. So in this centre, you've got massive AoE splash. You've got the 2 spitters that we're going to trigger in a second. You've got this, whatever it is it Fire Spinner or Inferno Spinner? I'm not sure. And then obviously you've got the Town Hall as well, which again is AoE fire. It's just a fire base. I'm just going to get destroyed. So I'm thinking, right, I'm looking at my troops' health bars and I'm thinking, right, I don't want to let them get too low, but at the same time, I want to pop it at the right time. So my 8 seconds of immunity is getting the most value. But I don't want to be too late if my troops are taking too much damage. So it's a trade-off. And if you notice as well, I've still got my Minion Prince ability. So how I like to use these two is I like to try and use one or the other first or second to get the most value. There's no point popping your Minion Prince ability while you're under your Warden's ability because you're slowing down defences, but you're immune anyway. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. The only point you would pop your Minion Prince ability first is if that's probably the last opportunity you're going to get in terms of the way the Minion Prince is facing to get the most value on the defences it's going to hit. If after that defence it takes down, it's going to go the opposite direction, then you might want to pop it early just to make sure you do get the freeze on the defences you want. But ideally, you want to get either your Minion Prince ability in first. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Warden because that's what you're looking for. Then after your Warden ability expires, after your 8.2 seconds of immunity, that's when you're looking for your Minion Prince to trigger his ability, then also slow down the remaining defences. So that's your perfect example. Not always work like that, but that's what you're looking for. I'm raging up there. I'm looking at my Root Rider's still pretty healthy. I'm going to pop it anyway because both the spitters are aggroed. I'm under a rage. There's my ice block. I can't really see what I've actually hit there, to be honest. I've hit my Root Riders, I think. I can certainly see one. To be honest with you, I didn't need to drop that there at all. I didn't need to do it. I don't know why I did. So just ignore that. There you go. Warden abilities expired. Minion Prince's pops. And from there in, it's just absolute chaos. Got enough troops left to probably do another attack. Not lost a hero yet, I don't think. Sorry, I've lost the Queen answer. And that's it. That's the example. Any questions?
No, it seems logical. Yeah.
Should we try a Legends League attack and try and do one on the fly? And I'll
If you want, yeah.
I'll try and talk you through what I'm thinking about in that 30 seconds. It's hard to do, bear in mind, so apologies if it doesn't go to plan. I would do CWL, but I'm not risking it. I want to focus on that. Yeah, so we'll do it. Let's do a Legends League hit if everyone's got time. How are we doing today? Not too bad.
Well,
Right,
you
let's
haven't
have a look.
started yet.
No,
I
I've
haven't
not started.
started.
I'm going to be
I've
up
got
quite late
16
getting
to
them all
do.
in. I know,
I've got
same here.
16.
Have we done your CWL hits?
No, I've got one of them to do.
Yeah, it's a long evening for us. Anyway, right, let's have a look what we got. What we're up against here. Let me just turn my volume up a little bit. Apologies if it's too loud. Right, what we got? Got a ring base. Straight away, don't like these. So I'm thinking, what can I do? Where can I get in easy and get value? I'm thinking straight away, maybe around there. I can get in and fairly safely get that spitter. I can then funnel out six. I can then funnel out six and drop my army to walk round here. So I'm going to try and go for that. I know where she's going to go, so I'm going to try and hit it on 52, 51 to get her in. Could get the spell tower. I'm going to drop an early invis because she's going to pull left. I don't want to take too much damage. And I'm going to drop another early one as well. Taking too much here. I'm going to not risk that and get her out. So I've got my value there. I've got what I want. Probably took too much damage. I'm going to get me barracks. I'm going to get me furnace in, and I'm going to get me queen in behind. That multi-gear, I don't like the look of that. So I might have to look at ways of distracting that. But anyway, I can get straight in over here because my funnel's set. Army in. Now I'm looking at my queen's elf and thinking, right, what's my queen doing? Is she losing elf yet? Is she all right? Dealing with the CC troops. She's okay. She's got freeze. She's gonna take aggro any second now. She's hit that, which is good. Right, she's took a lot of damage there, and then I'm also gonna drop a freeze. My RC is getting a bit low. I'm gonna drop my minion prince ability now because I don't want to lose my RC. I'm gonna drop my ice block here to make sure my giant gets that corner to push my troops in towards the centre to slow them down a little bit. Monolith triggered. Try and distract that if I can. Hopefully my minion prince can get that. The rage is up as well. Hopefully get my healers in the rage as well. I'm going to save my last invis for my RC. When she starts taking a bit more damage, that's when I'm going to use it. I think it's clean up. That monolith's gone. Yeah, it's cleared. this point, I don't need to worry. I'm just going to drop a couple of super barbs up here because the majority of my arm is the other side. There's that. Why not? And we can swag a wall breaker. And that's it. Any questions or any thoughts? Anything at all?
No, I think I just need to practice it. That's all.
And that's all it is, Zai. It's just taking your time with it. And like I said, hopefully this recording's recorded, so we can always refer back to this.
All right, that's good.
I'll create a channel in Discord and I'll put it in there. And Jax, we can do a dragon one as well at some point, and we can keep on top of the meta attacks and keep adding to it and build up a bit of a portfolio of attack strategies. I'm not quite good with the videos yet in terms of the timestamps, but it'd be nice to get some timestamps in there if we can do. I'm not too sure if you can do that, but can have a look just to save people having to watch through the whole hour and a half to get to the point they want to watch. But that's essentially it. I've pretty much covered everything that I can think of. Has anyone got any questions at all on that, or any concerns, or anything that if you've tried a similar attack recently, anything that you've struggled with?
Well, no, I've been obviously doing route riders as I used to do it because we used to have the overgrowth spell at one time, didn't we?
Yeah, and that still works. That still works. Your overgrowth.
Just for redirecting.
Yeah, the overgrowth and even the two overgrowth attackers come back again, which I'm quite surprised about because for me they were great. The overgrowths, I like them, but you just don't know. I think you just seem to waste too much time, in my opinion.
Yeah, because your troops bypass it, then they've got to come back.
Yeah, they loop. They have to loop back, and sometimes you can time it, but it's hard to time because is it 30 seconds? It's a long time, isn't it, that they stay untargetable for. So if you can time that perfectly, similar to like what we do with this attack that I've just shown you, where you drop your counter funnel so your troops hit that at the right time to push them in. If you can do that with the overgrowth, that's a similar effect. But at the same time, you're not actually taking out them defenses while they're in overgrowth. They're just sat there. So you're going to have to come back to them at some point. But that's not to say that it's not effective. It is when people at the very, very top level in hard mode make the overgrowths work. But that's just my opinion. But like I said, I'll pretty much all the time be available for anyone that wants to practice it, for any friendly challenges, any advice. Just drop me a message on Discord or at me in chat. You know I'm available, and we can go through it. If there's nothing else from anyone else, I'll let you go.
I feel it's been a one-to-one.
Has it just been me and you? Oh no, we've still got quite a few people on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not many other people have joined in. But that's fine. That's fine, Zai. But I appreciate your input because it's made it a lot better for me, a lot easier for me than just having to talk and hear my own voice. I get quite bored of it. And what did you think to the annotation part with the drawings? Does that help?
Good.
That's the first time I've done that.
Yeah, it's what all the do on online, don't they? They do all that.
Yeah, to a better level.
I don't know.
But yeah,
I did all right.
Hopefully it achieved what I wanted it to achieve, and like I said, we can for people that have missed it, we'll get it put up in one of the channels. I'll create a channel so everyone's got access to it. Hopefully the recordings come out okay, and we'll go from there. So thanks for everyone for joining. I hope it's been beneficial. Like I said, if there's any questions at all, just give me a shout and reach out, and we'll we'll take it from there. And if you've got CWL hits left today, good luck.
Yeah. Catch you later.
See you later. Cheers.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Waltz.
guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye bye.